Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Come True Outtake. Now, you can catch us every week right here on YouTube and all your social media outlets. You can also catch Fantasy Football Come True every week on Tobacco Road Sports Radio at 8:30 a.m. Of course, that is the show that I host. But right here on this show, Fantasy Football Come True Outtake, B. Foster, Ron Fun, they are the stars of Outtake. And of course, they don't need a host. And I'll tell you why. Because they don't. That's why. They're going to tell you what the deal is this week, what players they're putting their money on, and it's going to be raw, live, and uncut. So here we go. Fantasy Football Come True Outtake. B. Foster, it's on you, my man.
Yeah, man. So I just wanted to kind of take the viewers kind of through our process last week and how we fell on our lineups. I had a really good lineup last week, a really good cash lineup. I scored 183 points, 183.52 points. So a lot of things happened after we got off last week. So I just want to talk through those a little bit, just to help the listeners understand kind of our process. So soon after we got off last week, Drew Brees was ruled in and was able to play last week. So we talked a lot how we like Taysom Hill last week, but once Drew Brees got ruled out, of course that took Taysom Hill off the table. But the main thing that Drew Brees did when he was ruled in was it brought Alvin Kamara into play. Alvin Kamara was only 7,400, and Brees with Kamara is pretty much a lock to play. But in addition to that, Michael Thomas was ruled out. So that really made Kamara pretty much a must play at 7,400. He only had 18 points, but regardless, he still was a good play. And I mean, you just had to make the Kamara play. The next news that we got on Sunday morning was Ezekiel Elliott being ruled out. And you had Tony Pollard at 5,200. And if you've paid attention or watched any of this season, man, Tony Pollard has been taking about 30% of the snaps. Tony Pollard has played really well when he's got an opportunity. So you're giving me Tony Pollard now with 80, 90, 100% of the snaps at only 5,200 against a Niners team that doesn't scare me. Tony Pollard was a must play. So that's two running back positions for me that were locked. I really like Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk was 6,300, but Deebo Samuel's out. Ayuk's been getting 8, 9, 10 targets a game the past several weeks, playing against Dallas, terrible defense. I had to play Ayuk. It was a nice little mini stack too, because I was going to play Pollard, and I'm bringing it back there with Ayuk. And then my quarterback, I really like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was going against Arizona. He's been playing well. Played well his one game against New Orleans. New Orleans has been one of the best defenses in the league. So now I get Hurts against Arizona, who's a solid defense in their own right, but not as good as New Orleans. I get that rushing floor. I mean, these days, you can almost ill afford to not play a quarterback that doesn't give you a little bit of rushing equity, unless you're playing Patrick Mahomes out here. So Jalen Hurts was only $6,000. I thought it was a great play. And then I brought that back with DeAndre Hopkins, because DeAndre Hopkins just went overlooked last week. I mean, we've seen what teams have done to this Eagles defense. I saw what DK Metcalf did to him. I can't remember. There was another wide receiver a couple weeks ago that just smashed and murdered him. So I mean, Hopkins was a no-brainer for me, and I was playing Hurts. So yeah, I mean, the lineup just really made sense overall. My other plays were Emmanuel Sanders with Michael Thomas out. Emmanuel Sanders at 4,200 was a no-brainer. I had Irv Smith, who was playing against Chicago with Kyle Rudolph out. I mean, he didn't do much, 6.7 points, but he dropped a touchdown that hit him right in the chest. Rounded out with Jonathan Taylor playing against Houston. Jonathan Taylor's been on fire the past few weeks playing against Houston, another terrible defense, 19.5 points. So yeah, last week was pretty straightforward. Just threw in a defense, man. It didn't even matter. Jets gave me 8 points. People say he was playing the Jets. defense is the last thing you should put in your lineup. It's not going to make the difference in anything. If you build your lineup, you like it, every position of it, whatever defense you got left, just put them in there. Jets come out with a win, give me 8 points. You know what I mean? So really good week last week. I thought it was fairly easy, fairly put together, which I've thought that about a lot of weeks, but hadn't come together for me, injuries or other things. But I liked that process last week, and yeah, it was a great week.
So I like everything you said about last week, B. Things that we talked about, finding value plays, finding folks like that. You know, I put some of that in my lineup, and I thought I did everything right. And then I made one busted play, and that's I deviated at QB, and I went with Trubisky, and that cost me. What point am I really trying to make here? The point I'm trying to make here is that we need to know what the field is doing. You just mentioned Kamara. Kamara was 80% owned in one of the games that I played. You have to have him in your lineup. If you know he's cheap and 80% owned, you're taking a big risk not playing that guy in your lineup. The same thing for Brandon Ayuk. People are finally on Brandon Ayuk. I didn't know who he was a few weeks ago, like I said last week. But last week, he was 61% owned. And if you don't have him in your lineup at 61% owned and he goes off, you can kiss your money goodbye that day. And so, although I made perfect plays, many of the plays that you talked about were referenced, or I might have found some guys that were cheap. I went with Leonard Fournette. He put up points. He paid off. I went with guys that paid off, but in a cash game, ignoring what the field is doing can be at your own peril. And I ignored what the field was doing and went with Mitch Trubisky as my value play at quarterback. And for him to put up like 15 points, but the next value play of Jalen Hurts, who was 30% owned, puts up 40 points. I mean, my day is over. I had 140 some points, Brian, and still lost last week, right? But had I did that one play of Trubisky versus Hurts and put in Hurts, would have won. And shame on me, because we did a whole segment last week on Jalen Hurts and how I was disappointed about Eagles fans not giving that man a chance. Just give him a chance. And what we said was Jalen Hurts has been coached by Nick Saban, who hates turnovers, and then he's been coached by Riley, who can be aggressive. And in the 2 games that Jalen Hurts has played, he's had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's had fumbles, but no interceptions. And so shame on me for not putting Jalen Hurts in the lineup. Shame on me, y'all. I'm gonna just say that. But I'm gonna move real fast to one thing. One thing we did talk about last week that I want the listeners to know is that we talked about Tannehill versus Henry, and then we even came out with and said, you know what, this is a game where you could actually play both, and it wouldn't be a bad situation. And hindsight being 2020, we were on point with that. But I did not know that the Tennessee Titans are leading the NFL in offense scored this year. And so I really didn't know that, but it adds to that potential of playing Tannehill and having a hedge at Derrick Henry. I know people don't like to hedge quarterbacks and running backs, but you can do it. And one thing I did last week is in my GPP, I took Brian's advice and did a quarterback running back stack on the same team with the wide receiver on the same team, and brought it back with any player on the opposite team, and had several GPPs actually placed last week. 2 weeks in a row. I had 9 out of 20 2 weeks ago. And then last week I had several top plays. They were contrarian. We almost got there, but I had an 8th place finish that I was pretty impressed with. That had a Tannehill, Henry, and Davis stack, which is pretty interesting. So anyways, we just had to take a few moments to talk about last week because I really think we had some gems and it just adds to the number of weeks of where we've been on points. So I'm just impressed by the things we do, and I hope we can continue doing it, even if we don't do it on the radio. I hope we can do it on our own or for a platform or whatever. I just hope we can continue, even if it's just us, which it is us a lot of times. Just keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, in your defense, I don't think Trubisky was a terrible play against Minnesota. I mean, but like you said, when the next highest person up gets 40 and your guy gets 15, it's tough. It's not a lot you can do there. You can't catch up. You can't make that up. You know what I mean? But I mean, he wasn't a bad play though. He wasn't a bad play in the grand scheme.
No, he wasn't. And that's the transparency that I hope we're trying to provide. I'm trying to provide, like, hey, I made a mistake. It's still a good play, but it was a mistake, and I didn't cash. Well, I've been on a hot streak, didn't cash on a week. I put up a lot of points, and I still want to be transparent to our listeners because that's just what it is, And sometimes when you build I'm new to GPPs, but we talk about if you look at your cash lineup and do something incrementally distinct with your GPP builds, you might put yourself in a place to win. If one works out, the other one may not, or if one doesn't work out, the other one does. And last week to me was a prime example of that, where my GPP builds really shot to the top by being contrarian around a few things. So anyways.
Nah, I agree. I mean, it's like you said that, when the field is going with one person in a cash game, then you probably need to be equal weight with the field on that. But in a GPP, that's when you go total opposite of the field. You don't want to be with the field in,
Yeah.
So,
The one way or another. So for this week, what you looking at?
Going right back to the well, man. Jalen Hurts again. He's got the Cowboys this week. Of course, we know they're not stopping nobody. Rushing equity. I mean, his third week, he's only getting better, right? I mean, I'm going right back to him. He's 7,000 this week. But that's still not enough. I mean, would you pay? You remember what Kyler Murray was doing early in the season?
Yeah.
Would you have paid 7,000 for Kyler Murray early in the season?
For sure.
Because that's what Hurts is doing right now. I mean, he's doing the same thing.
For sure. Okay. Where am I going this week, man? Who looks good? Who's overpriced this week? I think Gage again, man, has potential. I know it mentioned Gage last week. He was at 4,700. I don't think I'm gonna build a lineup with him per se, like he's the core. But if I need a cheap receiver, Gage against that in that Kansas City game, he could be really interesting. This week he's 5,100. Last week we said he was 4,700 and came in with 18 points last week. And, he was definitely somebody to fill out your lineup going against Tampa Bay last week. But, I think they got to put up some points there in Atlanta. So I'm thinking about that Matt Ryan this week at QB if I pay down. And I'm thinking about messing with Gage if I need to fit in somebody cheap. I don't really know what to do with Pittsburgh, man. They seem to be struggling. Do you, with their linebacking core, hurt and their DBs, do you mess with Jonathan Taylor or do you stay away from Pittsburgh? Or
I'm not messing with them.
Okay.
Well, no, they don't play. Oh, do they play? Okay, maybe they do. Yeah. Now I probably stay away from Jonathan Taylor. Although Gio Bernard did have a pretty good game against him on Monday night. But I'm gonna look at that and I'm gonna play Gio against Houston at 4,800.
He's only 4,800.
Only 4,800. He got 25 carries against Pittsburgh. If he gonna get 25 carries against Houston,
that would be nice, right?
I mean, I don't even need the only thing, man, that quarterback situation is iffy, you know? Like,
did he get 25 carries because they were ahead of Steelers the whole time, or is he part of the game attack?
I'm actually encouraged that he got 25 with them leading, because typically in that game script, they may go to a bigger back and run the ball in the ground. Yeah. But they stayed with him because he's more of a pass catching back, but they stayed with him and let him run the ball. So I was actually happy to see that, you know.
Shout out to Carolina Tar Heel, man. I can't lie, Gio Bernard hurt me when he was a senior, I guess, at Carolina. He returned one for a touchdown against NC State, man. But he's actually had a productive NFL career, in my opinion. I don't necessarily know if his contract or money matches. But, yo, shout out to the Carolina Tar Heels, man. Tar Heels. Shout out to him, man.
Give me a second, Bert. You might chop it up one time.
I can pause.
Give me a second.
All right. One thing, B, that we try to do is try to get our running backs right. If we get our running backs right, everything else makes life easier sometimes. So, you know, question for you about Le'Veon Bell. He's at 5,800, pretty cheap. Last week, David Johnson was also in a smash spot. You know, I talked to you about him on Sunday morning. You know, with him getting all the work and they don't have a lot of weaponry due to injuries and suspensions. Is he interested in 6,100 or Le'Veon Bell at 5,800? How do you think about some of these?
So I want to be a little careful with David Johnson. He had 11 catches. That was a career high. You know what I'm saying? So he had a good game. You did mention him. If you played him, it would have been a good play. But I just wonder, is that an outlier play? Like, I don't know if he's gonna catch 11 passes again. They were playing Indy this week against Cincinnati. They were trailing that game, which led to a lot of the passes. The game script doesn't set up that way against Cincinnati. I wouldn't expect. 6,100 might be a little too much for David Johnson, but honestly, man, there's nothing out there. There's nobody I want to play at running back. There's nobody that I'm excited to play. Okay. When David Montgomery is the play that I want to play most, that's bad. Like, I mean, Chubb maybe, but quietly the Jets have been good against the run. People have been passing to beat the Jets. People keep trying to play running backs against the Jets and keep losing money. So I'm not interested in doing that, I don't think. Eckler maybe.
Going against Denver.
Yeah. I saw something. Lindsey didn't practice today. Philip Lindsay. If Philip Lindsay doesn't practice, then I'm all in on Melvin Gordon. He's 56. But I'm probably gonna have to get something else, man. It might be a 2 running back week, not 3. I mean, Miles Sanders is okay at 7,000.
Sanders doesn't get a lot of hasn't minus last week. Sanders hasn't been getting a lot of work here, has he?
The past 2 weeks with Hurts, he has.
Okay.
Yeah, if Zeke is out, yeah, I'm probably going right back to Pollard if Zeke is out. They priced them up a little bit though. 65 might be a little rich for me against the Eagles, but
if Zeke is out,
65. I tell you what my biggest decision is this week.
okay,
To Kelsey or not to Kelsey.
interesting.
Because there's nobody that I love. There's nobody that I love. Literally nobody.
Even Bernard, as cheap as Bernard is.
Yeah. So I'm playing Bernard
And
at 48, and I'm playing Montgomery most likely against the Jags. Like those two, I could pretty much say, yeah, I'll play those two. But you telling me a third guy? There's no third guy. There's no Derrick Henry. There's no Kamara. There's these guys and then if I go to wide receiver, you say, okay, you're not gonna spend your money on running backs. You're gonna spend it on wide receiver. I mean, Tyreek Hill's $9K. Gracious. Calvin Ridley 85, DK Metcalf 78 against Jalen Ramsey. I don't want no parts of that.
so what's the field saying, right? Like even if we don't want to play him, who's going to be heavily owned, and how do we figure out who's heavily owned this week?
I mean, we can use some of these projection systems and these services or whatever, but like I told you earlier, it's hard for me to build a lineup. Normally I can open up the app, I can easily determine a framework of how I want to build. This week I don't have that. It's very difficult for me to build a lineup this week and be like, yeah, okay, let's go. I'm ready. Okay. I don't have that right now. Hey, full disclosure, made us because the NBA started. Tonight is Wednesday. The NBA started tonight. It's 13 NBA games tonight. Zeroed in on that a little bit. NBA is way different than NFL. It's so hectic and crazy.
Yeah.
That Zeke news that happened in NFL, that happens every slate in NBA. Somebody, and you got to be on the next play. So, but no, I mean, I like Jameson Crowder. You talked about your Browns. Been playing pretty well offensively.
Yep.
Defensively, they give up a lot in the air. And Jameson Crowder's only 4,500. Like Crowder's been hurt, been banged up a little bit, been on and off the injury report. Last week he was pretty good. I think he's finally getting healthy. 4,500. And yeah, I'll take some Crowder.
At 8 targets. 8 targets is not bad. So for the fans out there, I've been predominantly a cash game player until the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I've been trying to practice and build GPPs here lately, and I am salivating over the Kansas City Atlanta game, Cleveland Jets, and some of this Cincinnati Houston game. And if I can figure a way in Dallas, if I can figure a way to pull those together, I know you can't put all of that in one lineup, but if I can get 25% of my lineup with Jalen Hurts at QB with the right correlation stacks, and then get another 25% of my lineups with Matt Ryan or Kansas City quarterback with the right bringbacks. What? I'm thinking I might can get some lineups that's going to hit again with high percentages. I just don't know how I'm gonna build them out, but I'm probably going to do a contrarian play. Whatever my cash games lineups are, I'm gonna tweak a little bit, and I might actually put in one chalky guy in my GPP build. I'm gonna do that correlation stack. I'm gonna do quarterback, wide receiver, maybe 2 wide receivers, and bring back 1 wide receiver, and pick the quarterbacks I like, and then lock in maybe 1 chalky chalky guy and see what it do. And I think it's going to do real well. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I know we're about to run out of time here, and we hadn't really give the fans a lot, but me personally, man, I like these cheap running backs, man. These guys gonna get me in trouble. I always like them cheap, man. Value trap out here, you know. That's me. I like Carolina, man. For some reason, with Haskins doing what Haskins did, I think there's a chance this Washington just shuts down this week and has like a team chemistry letdown. And with David Tepper firing their GM this week, man, I think that might light a little fire under some of these players, man. David Tepper letting these players know, new GM coming in, and we might actually ship y'all out if y'all ain't playing well. So I'm interested in seeing how this Carolina reacts to that.
Okay. I mean, if you want to attack that Washington front, go ahead. I mean, your boy Russ couldn't even really cook last week. You know what I mean? Only 20 points. Seattle put up on them. I believe it was in DC, I think.
Yeah. But Seattle tried to run on them too. So Carolina ain't running. Carolina ain't running next week. They doing trick plays and ISOs and screens for people, and you know.
Does Ron Rivera know anything about them boys that gives him an advantage, or no?
Probably not.
Okay. Just asking.
That's a good question. I just feel like it could be real interesting as a surprising game, different from your expectations. That's all. With Haskins doing what Haskins doing, you know.
Either way, I'm not expecting a lot of points out of there. I'm probably staying away.
Okay.
You know, for fantasy purposes, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I ain't got much more for him this week, man. This week is a lot of a recap from last week to really showcase how strong we've been. And I keep saying this every week, man, but we've been strong this year, bro. So I'm glad we've been able to do this, man.
Hey, yeah, man. Hopefully somebody's taking note and riding with us, you know. We still gave them some this week too. So take them and get you a Christmas present out here, you know.
Give the listeners a shout out about your basketball situation, man. How that?
Man, writing a little bit of fantasy basketball stuff, man. Again, you can get it on Twitter, Foster_BSE. But yeah, we'll see, man. Check it out. There's a couple articles you can check out. You know, vet the play, see how they do tonight. It's Wednesday night. Hey, decide if you wanna come ride, man. You know, but I've been more successful in basketball than I have at football, so I'll just say that, you know.
Yeah, I tell you, that's where my advantage stops. I stop at football. I stay in my lane. I don't want no basketball out here. So proud of you, man. Robbie Rod, you got something for the listeners, man? I know it's holiday season out here. Yeah, you helping us out here. You got something? What you want to tell the folks?
And the only thing I'm gonna tell the listeners is to keep checking y'all out, because y'all are definitely hitting it on all cylinders. And you know, they can't take it, listeners, you can't take it 1 week. You have to take it 1 week at a time, but that is what's gonna build the whole. And the whole is the key thing, getting all the way to the end. You know, you don't build your mutual fund, you know, overnight and in the last 2 years, but you build it over a long amount of time. And this season has been a quick season, but of course a long season. So hopefully the listeners will continue, again, to trust the process, find those value players, and hey, continue to listen and take you guys' advice, you know. And of course, happy holidays, everybody. Hope everybody stays safe from COVID-19. Hope everybody continues to wear their mask. You're going to be around people during the holidays. And, you know, the only difference during the holidays, especially in the wintertime, is we're a lot closer to each other. Usually we get inside, we gather together closer than you do in the summertime. So please, continue to wear your mask. Please continue to social distance so you can keep yourself safe as well as your family safe. Other than that, listeners, you got the two guys that are best in the business right here. B. Foster, Ron Fun. They're giving you what they do right here on Fantasy Football Comes True Outtake. So make sure y'all catch our full 30-minute show every Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. And don't forget, this is a show that wants to see you put money in your pocket. Fantasy Football Come True Outtake. This has been another edition of that.